Hi, and welcome to Literary Hype. If this is your first time, I'm so happy you're here. If this is more than your first time, then I am happy you've taken the time to return and hang out with me to talk about books. I am Stephanie, the Literary Hype woman, and today I get to introduce you to a debut novelist, and I think you're really gonna like her. Holly James wrote this lovely book called Nothing But the Truth. It's a feminist take on Liar Liar, which I was intrigued by the description, but the book had me in love from the get-go. I'm so excited to introduce you to her, so here's my conversation with Holly James.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
I am fabulous. So we're here to talk about Nothing But the Truth.
Yay! I actually just got my finished copies yesterday.
Ooh, so yours does not have the fun little arc symbol.
No, it doesn't have the arc symbol anymore. It has a blurb on it now. All official.
Ooh. Did it change a lot from the arc to the final copy?
No, I don't think it did at all, actually. This one, it's kind of a different size. It's a little slimmer. I was like side by side looking at the pages, like, is the paper thinner? Like, what did they do? But it's like none of the content changed. It's pretty much identical.
So tell me a little bit about Nothing But the Truth.
Yes, this is my first, step into the publishing world, I guess, officially debuting. Very exciting, very nerve-wracking, but yeah, the excitement has just been building and building, and it feels like it's both been forever and very quick in getting here. So yeah, this book is about, the main character's name is Lucy, and she is a Hollywood publicist who, on the eve of her 30th birthday, makes a wish to have the perfect day the next day, because she's expecting all of these kind of milestone life moments to happen. She's up for a promotion. She thinks her boyfriend's going to propose to her. She's going to sign a superstar new client. And then she wakes up the next morning and she's unable to lie. And then it follows her throughout the day of confronting all of the little dishonesties and big dishonesties that women have to contend with on a daily basis.
It feels more like beyond just can't tell a lie. It's like, I'm not going to do anything that's not comfortable either. Well,
yes,
to an extent.
Yes. So she can't verbally lie, but she also can't like act out anything dishonest. So she makes some attempts to like do things that would kind of go against her true desire and thinking, and she's like physically stopped from doing it. So it's lying, verbally lying and acting and any kind of dishonesty.
So it was pitched to me as a feminist liar.
Yes.
I was like, okay, intrigued. And I was looking at your social media and you just described it as a feminist tirade disguised as a comedy. And so I'm like obsessed with both descriptions. So where did you come up with this concept for such a fun story?
Yeah, so it kind of came from two places. So I wrote it back in the summer of 2020. So like I started drafting in like August of 2020. And at that point I had been working from home because of the pandemic, for like 5 months. And I remember one day distinctly just like laying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, pondering how strange life had become. And I had this moment of realizing, I was saving so much time in my daily routine by like not doing my hair, not doing my makeup, not putting on my like costume to go to work, to go into the office essentially. And it just struck me how much more comfortable and how much more just kind of like happy I was not doing all those things. And then I started thinking like, why did I do all that in the first place? Like, why do we have these like rules, these expectations that women are supposed to follow and comply with? And so that was kind of floating around in my head for a while. And I was thinking of how I could potentially build a story around that. Like if a woman just stopped doing those things, like what would happen? What would be the consequences? How would it play out? So that was the initial seed. And then one day, just coincidentally, my husband decided to watch Liar Liar. So I like walked in the living room and it was on, and I've seen that movie, a million times. And I was thinking like, how different would it look if it was about a woman? If a woman just had to spend the day unable to lie about anything, and not in the same way that like Jim Carrey's character, he's kind of like a, degenerate pathological liar in that movie. Not in that sense, just like all of the dishonesty that women are, confronted with and things we have to put up with and just don't talk about and just, comply with. So then those two ideas kind of merged in my head, this idea of going through these routines and what would happen if we just stopped, and then kind of being like forced to be honest about things that we don't otherwise talk about. and they smushed together, and Lucy popped into my head, and the story just spilled out from there.
Such a fun, like, ideas can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
So your little blurb says you're in psychology. How did you go from psychology into writing? Was it's something you always wanted to do?
It was kind of interesting. So when I was younger, I've always kind of like dabbled in creative writing my whole life. I've never taken like formal training in it or anything, but back in like elementary school, I would write little short stories and poetry and stuff. And I was always into music. So I'm like a lifelong band geek. And so through, the younger years of my childhood and adolescence, I always had this very creative outlet, whether it was art or music. And then when I got into college and graduate school, I really shifted into more scientific, like STEM types of things. And I think particularly in graduate school, I was so heavily focused on like science, logic, that like the creative part of my brain was just like begging for for relief. So that's when I started writing again, more seriously, writing like novel length stories. And so I think, I don't know that there wasn't like a full transition from one to the other. I definitely do both things. I mean, I have a full-time day job, just came from it. But I feel like, I'm very scientifically oriented and like obsessed with logic and reason and math and that kind of stuff. But then I'm also, I feel like just obsessed with creativity, and I'm fascinated by creativity. I think that's where my psychology degree like kind of comes in and makes me think about, I'll sit here and like psychoanalyze myself in my own writing process and just be like, why did I think of that? And other authors too. I love talking to other authors about the creative processes. It's just so fascinating to me. So I think, like I don't think I bring any like psychological elements to my writing. It just kind of is a part of my life that maybe informs what I do to some extent. But I really do feel like one needs the other, like my creativity needs my like science side. Without the other, one would kind of suffer. So it's a interesting balance to keep up with, both parts of my life, but I really do enjoy every aspect of it.
Did you psychoanalyze Lucy or any of the characters? But like, did the psychology inform how your characters behave?
I think maybe like subconsciously. That's a very psychologist answer for you, sorry. But I think I don't know, I feel I draft relatively quickly, but then I'll go back and look at something and think of like, oh yeah, that makes sense in terms of motivation, like why they were thinking this or why they were doing that. But as I'm putting it on the page, I don't think I'm consciously making those decisions. I don't know, here we go again, like I'm psychoanalyzing my own writing. But I do really like to think about, like I'm kind of I guess like a stickler for like motivation, like why people are doing certain things. Like there has to be a reason for their behavior and driving the story. So I guess I do incorporate that, whether I'm aware of it or not.
So as someone with a full-time job that is very different from the creative process, what is your creative writing process like?
Oh man, it's kind of chaotic. So I usually get an idea. I usually think of like the hook for the story, right? So the hook was a woman who has to spend a day unable to lie. And I'm totally what people call a pantser. So I like make it up as I go along, right? I don't plot. That the thought of plotting like terrifies me. It makes me nervous. I can't do it. People who can do it, like hats off. That's incredible to be able to think that far out. But so I usually, I get the idea for the hook. Then the main character kind of pops into my head, and then I get ideas for like pivotal scenes, like major scenes, at least for the first half, 3/4 of the book. And then I just kind of go for it. Like I never know how a story ends when I start writing it, which I think is so fun. The writing part, like discovering the story as you go along is the best part, in my opinion. I know some people don't like drafting and they only really enjoy the editing and the revising, but the creating and just making it up as you go along is my favorite part. So yeah, I know that explanation would terrify people who enjoy plotting, but in the same way, plotting terrifies me.
Have you gotten any like really great writing advice throughout all of this that you were willing to share?
Really great writing advice. I think, I'm not sure where, I don't know what the original source was, but one of my favorite pieces of advice is to allow yourself the bad first draft. So I used to put so much pressure on myself to have it come out perfect, and I would, kind of self-edit along the way. And once I stopped doing that, I think the quality of my writing really improved, and also I just was a lot less stressed. But I just love the idea that like the first draft is you just telling yourself the story, and that really resonates with me because, like I said, like I'm a pantser and I'm just making it up as I go along. So yeah, I think that's like, give yourself the freedom for the first draft to not be perfect. That's the best advice I've ever gotten, I think.
Kind of goes along with Lucy's story anyway.
Well, yeah, it does.
Doesn't have to be perfect to be perfect.
Nope.
What has the response been so far with your advanced copies and stuff like that?
It's been so wonderful, honestly. I think I'm probably going to tear up just talking about it, but the responses where readers say, this inspired me to speak up, or this made me realize certain, struggles in my own life that I could approach differently. Or they just say like, thank you for writing this. Like, this is the story I needed right now. Like, I couldn't ask for anything more than that. I wanted it to be empowering, and, funny and lighthearted at the same time, but that message of empowerment that's in there, the way that people are gravitating to that and like pulling it out and kind of making it their own, incorporating it into their own lives is just, oh my God, I can't even, that's so amazing. I'm so immensely grateful that it's touching people in that way. And I'm just excited to see it continue to hopefully do that, reach more readers in the next couple weeks, months, rest of the year. So yeah, it's been really, really great.
How important does it feel for this book, with this feminist empowering message, to be coming out at this point in the year?
Yeah, I mean, the timing, like, no way could we have predicted that this would have lined up with, one of the most significant political events of a generation. I don't think that's an overstatement. And that's something that people have, been pointing out to me. Like I said, like they say, this is just what I needed to read right now, and I don't think, my book's not going to like change anything politically, probably, but if it's giving people like a moment of joy or hope or some kind of empowerment, I'm so incredibly thankful for that, to be able to play some tiny part in, a lot of the, I guess, relief from so much of the struggle that's happening right now. It's just, I, again, couldn't ask for anything. Like I don't wish at all that we were in this situation, but I think that, being able to put something out into the world that's giving people a little spot of hope is just really, truly wonderful. And yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and like I hadn't even finished it, and I was like, so I work at a bookstore part-time, and like with every rom-com we start out with one copy, and I mean, it was like, order more, I am going to tell everyone.
Oh, thank you.
Like text my coworkers like, you need to read this. But it's so entertaining, and just like the number of times I was like, yes, queen.
Just great.
Definitely something that women will enjoy reading right now. So I think I saw on social media that you're working on more books right now. You want to talk about those?
I am. Yeah. So my second book is actually in copy edits. It's actually due back to my editor in a week. So that one, it's called The Deja Glitch. And it's more of a rom-com than this one is. It's like, I think Nothing But the Truth is more like women's fiction with like a romantic kind of subplot element to it, whereas the Deja Glitch is definitely focused on the couple and the romance. And it's another lightly speculative, kind of lighthearted women's fiction romantic comedy kind of mashup genre. And it's about strangers who meet, and they are stuck in a 24-hour time loop. It's a play on a time loop story. So they're stuck in a 24-hour time loop, and they have to fall in love to break out of it. But the catch is the guy can remember the entire loop, and the girl feels like every day is the first time they've met. So we as the readers only see a single day of the loop. And at that point, our hero is completely head over heels for heroine, but she doesn't know who he is. And so he's spending the day trying to convince her that this is going on, and he's completely in love with her. And I really wanted to play with the idea of one member of a couple not being able to recognize or remember the other person, but in a comical way, not in like a tragic way. I just thought that would be fun to play with that idea. And then I got the idea of like deja vu, you know, like, oh, I've been here before, this has happened before, but you can't really ever remember why it feels so familiar. So all of that merged together into this fun story, and I love it so much. I'm really, really excited for it to be out. And it's set in LA, and it's kind of on the periphery of the music industry this time, so a little different than the movie industry, but still full of entertainment shenanigans. So yeah, that one will hopefully be out. If it follows the same production timeline, it'll be out next summer around this time, I think.
I heard you're drafting a third.
I am, yeah. That one's still under lock and key. It hasn't been passed off to my editor yet, so it's not official by any means, but it is another rom-com story, again featuring a couple. So I'm excited to see where that one goes once I deliver it. But yeah, not too much to share on that one yet.
I mean, that's at least a hint, little hint. But I saw this thing on your social media that I feel like a lot of readers will identify with and see themselves in. You tweeted about a nightmare where you were on a 5-hour flight with your e-reader dead and no books.
Oh my God, it was so bad.
How did you survive?
So so it was so crazy because that day, where was I even going? I've traveled a lot this year. I was going to a conference for my day job. That's right. I was flying from California to Charlotte, North Carolina. And that was the first time in my entire life that I had not brought a hard, like, physical book with me on a flight, because I had several to read. I was like, oh, I'll just put them all on my Kindle. And I'm very new to the ebook world. You can see this bookshelf behind me. I have like 5 of those in my house. I never read ebooks. I just prefer a physical book in my hand. But anyway, in this instance, I kind of, it was just more economical to bring the ebook. And this was like the 3rd time I'd ever used it, and I get on the plane and I'm like, okay, I'm ready, and it just would not turn on. And I still don't know why. I don't know why, because when I got to my hotel, I'm still stressed about it, you can tell. When I got to my hotel, I plugged it in and it was fully charged. So I have no idea why it didn't work, but I almost cried. I had a middle seat and the 2 people next to me were like side-eyeing me, like, what's wrong with this girl? So yeah, that was very, very disappointing. And before I left on that trip, I even told my husband, I was like, this is gonna be my absolute nightmare. I'm taking a gamble with just an e-reader. If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Then of course that's what happened. But what I ended up doing was we used the airlines like free TV show thing, and I started watching The After Party on Apple TV. That show was hilarious. I didn't realize. No, I feel like I don't know. I had heard about it, but had never paid attention. But yeah, I definitely binged like the first 3 episodes of it, and then because those were the free ones, and then I went and downloaded the rest of it in my hotel room and watched it on the way back because I didn't trust my Kindle at that point. So I don't know, man. Never again. I'm never relying simply on the e-reader again, because that was heartbreaking.
Like I've had that fear of like I have to pack like 3 books for any trip because what if I finish the one I'm on and need another one, and what if my technology?
Yes.
My boyfriend thinks
for all
scenarios. It is what it is. I'm a reader. And since this is called Literary Hype, what books are you hyped about right now?
Oh gosh. Let's see. I actually just finished My Summer Darlings by May Cobb, and I love it. So I read a lot of thrillers. I read a very different genre than I write, which I don't know if that's common, but that's how I am. So I love that. It was so just like juicy and like scandalous and like soap opera-y. I love that one. I also was fortunate enough to read an early copy of Ashley Winstead's next thriller. It's called The Last Housewife. It comes out in August. So good. It's very dark, but it's, totally on brand for another like smash the patriarchy feminist read. So good. I'm really excited to see the reception for that book, because I think it's going to be huge. I also got to read another early copy. I feel so official. I'm being asked to blurb books. I'm like, yeah, I'm a real author. Another book, another women's fiction, not a thriller, women's fiction. It's called A Very Typical Family by Sierra Godfrey. It's really good. It's set in Santa Cruz, which I used to live in Santa Cruz, California. So it like instantly had my heart for that reason. But it's about a a woman who is set to inherit her family, like their old mansion, but she has to, because her mother just passed away, but she has to be physically present with her two older siblings, and they haven't spoken in years because she accidentally had them sent to prison when they were younger. So it's this whole like kind of, you know, family saga drama thing, but it's like lighthearted. It's like morbidly funny, but it's very big hearted, and I really, really love that book. That one comes out in September. And then what else am I hyped about? There's so many. I feel like my towering piles of books to read. Those two. Oh, and then another in the rom-com sphere, the book As Seen on TV by Meredith Shore. That one just came out a couple weeks ago. That's like at the top of my list. Once I Survive. Oh, you have it? There you go. Yeah, it's right behind me too. That's at the top of my list. Once I survive pub week next week. Yeah, I mean, I could give you a list forever. I have so many. Those are the ones I'm looking forward to. Yes. Yes,
As Seen on TV is cute. It's cute. Well, thank you so much for hanging out and spending time talking about your book and your upcoming books. Very excited. You'll be looking for those.
Of course. Well, it was great. It was great to talk to you. Thank you so much. This was fun. I'm excited for this book to be out in the world. And like I said, it has felt both extremely long and very quick. And I keep having these moments of like, this is actually going to happen, you know, all this build up, it's actually going to be out there out of my hands. And it was really yesterday when I got the box of like the final copies. That was a profound moment of like, wow, like I did this. This is a real thing.
Have a good day.
All right. You too. Bye.
Thanks to Holly for hanging out with me here on Literary Hype. I had a blast talking with her and hanging out and getting to read her book, Nothing But the Truth. If you want to get a copy of it, you can find a link in the description down below, as well as links to find her on social media and see what else she's up to with her third book, whenever she announces more information about that. If you're not already subscribed to the Literary Hype Woman, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hang out with me some more in the future. And you know what? Leave me a comment of what author you think I should talk to next. Thanks for joining me.